Welcome to Dr. David Eifrig's Health and Wealth Bulletin, a publication of Stansberry Research. This is Weekly Update. Now, I don't know about you, but I've seen far too much doom and gloom in the news these days. From poison attacks killing folks in London, to fears around the Iranian nuclear deal, there's just too much fear out there. And this week, we saw another headline meant to scare us. The FDA recently approved the first ever drug to fight smallpox. Now, smallpox was a deadly disease years ago. It killed about 500 million folks in the 20th century. In fact, about 30% of everyone who got it died from it. But we eradicated it by 1980. In fact, anyone 40 and under in the US is likely to be unvaccinated. But here's the thing, there's a risk of smallpox being weaponized. That's right, we could face it as a very real bioterrorism tool. That's because there are still a few small caches of the stuff in labs being used for research. But one wrong move could put that virus in the hands of terrorists. So what are we supposed to do with this kind of news? Should we start building our underground vaults now? There's no reason to panic just yet, but we can prepare within reason. And that's why my boss, Dr. David Eifrig, wrote the book, The Doctor's Protocol Field Manual. In it, he outlines how to survive any crisis or disaster. It includes 4 crucial steps: prepare, provision, protect, and prosper. He talks about some simple ways to prepare for any disaster, and not just the doomsday scenarios. Do you know what to have on hand for a medical emergency? For a power outage? For a hurricane, tornado, or flood? Now, food and water are obvious. But today, I'm going to share 5 tips from Doc's medical considerations. These come from his protect advice. And it's all about using good common sense and a well-stocked first aid kit to get through any disaster you may face. First of all, you can avoid a great deal of infection and illness through good sanitary conditions. Of course, when infections or injury do happen, you want to be prepared. That's why our first tip is infection prevention. The most important thing you must do when sustaining a scratch or open wound is to clean the wound thoroughly. Use soap and vigorously scrub the area to remove all dirt and organisms. It won't feel pleasant, but it's vital to preventing infection. Now, after you've cleaned the wound, apply an antiseptic ointment like Neosporin and cover with a bandage. Repeat this process daily until the wound heals. When an infected person sneezes, they atomize harmful bodily fluids. So it's important to protect yourself, especially if you're taking cover during an emergency. Wearing medical masks will reduce the transmission of fluid-borne diseases. You want to use these to keep illnesses from spreading throughout your family. You can buy a 30-pack online for just a few dollars. You also want to keep a supply of antibacterial hand sanitizer gel to prevent infections and transmission of disease in crises. Now, normally we're against using this stuff because of the possibility of making some super bacteria. But in times of crisis, you might not have the water available for washing and disinfecting for an extended period of time. Our second tip is very simple: study up now. Many people are accustomed to accessing the internet to gain instant knowledge on almost any kind of subject. This includes help on how to treat sickness and dress injuries. But in a crisis, we may not have access to the internet. That's why it's still important to keep at least 2 real medical volumes, hard copy, not electronic, on hand. Doc Eifrig's recommendation is Wilderness Medicine. The PDR Pharmacopedia Pocket Dosing Guide and the Village Healthcare Handbook are also excellent. Similarly, prepare for first aid. At least one person in your family should be trained in basic first aid and CPR, which is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Getting every family member certified is even better. So check with the Red Cross, a nearby fire station, or your local community college for class offerings. And remember, the new CPR is a hands-only type of CPR, where chest compressions are the most important thing to do. And tip number 3 is medications. If you're taking prescription drugs, maintain a surplus of at least 2 weeks of prescription drugs. Work with your doctor to get insurance companies to pay for the extra meds. One way to do this is to ask for a 90-day supply through a pharmacy benefits management plan. Then ask your doctor for a refill a few weeks early, say at about 60 days. Rotate these prescription drugs into your regular consumption the same way you would with stored food and water. Also, maintain a ready supply of antibiotics. Doc recommends Augmentin, Cipro, doxycycline, and Bactrim to have in your case. Make sure you're not allergic to any of these, of course, before taking them. And talk with your doctor now about how to get these drugs. He or she may have free trial packs, like a popular Z-Pack, to share with you. And doctors will often prescribe Cipro for people who are planning overseas trips. This is always a good thing to keep in mind so that you can have these drugs on hand should something happen. Remember, you can also store these drugs in a sealed freezer bag with anti-moisture packets inside. Place them in the freezer, and then once thawed later on, they'll last for about 10 to 12 months. Tip number 4, prepare for power outages. If you have elderly, ill, young, or infirm family members in your home, contact your utility company and inform them of this before an outage occurs. Power company crews should give your home higher priority when working to reestablish power. Now, this is especially important if anyone in your home is on oxygen, and therefore you can get closer to the top of the list for getting your power restored. Other things to keep on hand: an extra supply of special batteries for devices like hearing aids and electric scooters. Also keep a crank radio or a radio with extra batteries and flashlights. And now for our 5th tip, keep a well-stocked first aid kit. Any decent first aid kit should have the following minimum components, and your kit may have more, but this is a good place to start. This kit should include latex gloves, bandages, including small, medium, large, and butterflies, about 10 of each, gauze pads, first aid tape, at least 3 rolls, elastic ace bandage, triple antibiotic ointment like Neosporin, topical antiseptic towelettes, a 1 to 4 ounce bottle of povidone iodine 10% solution for disinfecting wounds, pain anti-inflammatory medication, think Tylenol, ibuprofen, things like that, anti-diarrheal and laxative tablets, Lamitil and Pepto-Bismol, really good options there, cough drops, sunscreen. Normally we recommend about an SPF 8, but you can go up to about a 30 just in case you have to be outside in the middle of the day for an extended period of time. Tweezers, scissors, a scalpel or single-edged razor blades, matches, and a bottle of rubbing alcohol for sterilization, antibiotics, again, make sure to ask your doctor for this stockpile, duct tape, at least 3 rolls, a quality first aid handbook, a box of quicklime for handling human waste, and a box of garbage bags. Now, a wide variety of pre-packaged first aid kits are available, but they can get expensive. You can find quality first aid kits that includes most or all of the items above for a reasonable price if you shop around. Now, these 5 tips are just the start to help you and your family prepare for any kind of crisis or disaster. I really encourage you to read our book, The Doctor's Protocol, for even more life-saving information. If you're already a subscriber to our newsletter, Retirement Millionaire, you can access it on our website. And if you aren't, you can purchase a copy of our book for just $13 plus shipping and handling. We'll have links for both in the description below, so don't miss out. That's it for today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.